In Golden Bay City, fine dining and Michelin-starred restaurants are the ultimate symbol of upper-class taste and social status. Ordinary people can barely afford a single meal in a 3-Michelin-starred restaurant, while wealthy elites and social celebrities regard dining in top luxury restaurants as a daily, trivial enjoyment. In this materialistic city, countless people judge personal status, family wealth, and personal taste by the dining environment, seat position, and consumption grade of luxury restaurants. They firmly believe that people who can sit in the core VIP window seats of top Michelin restaurants are noble elites, while those who can only take remote corner seats are poor, low class, and destined to be mediocre for a lifetime. This distorted vanity cognition has penetrated the entire city's social circle. Many people spend months of salary just for a single luxury dinner, simply to take photos and show off their superior life on social platforms. They obsess over seat locations, pursue exclusive private dining rooms, and disdain ordinary corner seats, taking the trivial differences in dining positions as the biggest gap between classes. These superficial people never understand that real wealth and status never need to rely on restaurant seats and dining grades to prove themselves. The people who are really standing at the top of the wealth pyramid have long looked down on all these trivial vanity pursuits. My name is Shahid. I am a low-key rich heir who has been hiding my identity for many years. I am the sole controlling shareholder and founder of Global Star Michelin Catering Group, the world's top luxury catering empire. The group owns more than 400 3-Michelin-starred luxury restaurants, high-end private custom dining clubs, top international banquet halls, and 5-star hotel catering departments in 60 countries around the world, monopolizing the top luxury catering market in most regions. All the top Michelin restaurants that the rich people in Golden Bay City scramble to book and yearn for are all my private industrial assets. My personal assets are incalculable, and I hold the supreme decision-making power of all restaurant opening and closing, chef employment, seat division, membership privileges, and global brand operation. Countless top Michelin chefs, catering industry tycoons, and social celebrities try their best to get in touch with me, hoping to obtain exclusive dining privileges and high-end cooperation resources. But no one knows that the legendary hidden boss of the global luxury catering industry is just an ordinary young man who likes to dine in ordinary corner seats quietly. I have been tired of the flattery and fawning of the upper-class circle for a long time. In order to stay away from false vanity and hypocritical social interactions, I have always lived an extremely low-key life. I wear simple casual clothes, drive an ordinary civilian car, and never show off my wealth and status to anyone. I often go to my own brand's top Michelin restaurant near my community to eat alone, and I never ask for VIP seats or exclusive privileges. I always take the remote and inconspicuous corner seat at the bottom of the restaurant, simply because it is quiet and suitable for me to eat quietly and relax. In the eyes of all the restaurant staff, regular wealthy guests, and passers-by, I am just an ordinary person who barely saves money to experience a Michelin meal. I have no status, no background, and can only choose the worst corner seat that no one is willing to take. This trivial low-key behavior of mine has become the biggest laughingstock in the circle of my so-called friends and classmates. My former classmates and a group of vain social friends often gather at this top Michelin restaurant for high-end dinners. Every time they see me sitting alone in the remote corner seat, eating quietly, they will take the initiative to gather around and mock me wantonly. They laugh at my poverty, ridicule my low status, and despise me for only being able to afford the worst seat in the restaurant. They take their exclusive VIP window seats and private dining rooms as supreme glory and repeatedly trample on my dignity to satisfy their distorted sense of superiority. The leader of these snobbish people is Zhang Tung, a rich second generation who has a little family catering assets. His family runs several ordinary chain restaurants, which are far from the level of top Michelin luxury catering. But he has always been extremely arrogant and vain, packaging himself as a top catering elite in the social circle. He often spends a lot of money to book the most luxurious core VIP private room of the Michelin restaurant, gathers a group of sycophant friends to show off his wealth, and takes pleasure in mocking low-key people like me. Zhang Teng has always been jealous of my calm and low-key temperament. In the past campus days, my temperament and conduct were always more outstanding than his, making him always suppressed. After graduation, he relied on his family's petty wealth to squeeze into the so-called elite circle and finally found a chance to trample on me wantonly. He always publicly said in front of everyone that I was a useless poor guy who could only struggle at the bottom, that my low-key life was just incompetent and helpless, and that I could never reach his elite level in my life. A group of my former classmates also clung to Zhang Teng's side, following his lead to flatter and curry favor with him, and jointly mocking and excluding me. They think that clinging to a rich second generation like Zhang Teng can get more high-end social resources and dining privileges, while associating with me, an ordinary poor guy who can only sit in the corner seat, will only lower their own class and taste. Faced with their repeated ridicule and snobbery, I have always chosen to be tolerant and indifferent. I disdain to argue with these superficial people who measure status by restaurant seats. They don't know that the VIP seats they scramble for, the top chefs they admire, and the luxury dining environment they yearn for are all under my absolute control. Their proud elite treatment is just the most trivial default authority of my industry assets. I thought that my long-term tolerance and low profile would make them stop their childish ridicule, but their arrogance and snobbery have no bottom line. They regard my kindness as cowardice and my low profile as incompetence, and their bullying becomes more and more intense day by day. Until the restaurant's annual top-level elite charity dinner, they staged an extreme public humiliation that completely broke my bottom line, triggering my thorough dimensionality reduction counterattack. Hashtag the climax of humiliation, public ridicule at the top elite charity dinner. The annual charity dinner held by Golden Bay top star Michelin restaurant is the most high-profile top social event in the city's catering and elite circle. All the city's business tycoons, celebrity elites, wealthy heirs, and industry leaders will be invited to attend the dinner. The scene is extremely luxurious, with top-level customized dishes, limited luxury wine, professional symphony performances, and high-end charity auction links. It is a grand occasion that countless rich people spend a lot of money and connections to squeeze into. The seat division of the dinner is extremely strict and hierarchical. The core window seats and central VIP seats are exclusively for top business tycoons and heavyweight industry leaders. The peripheral fine seats are for ordinary wealthy elites and social celebrities. The remote corner seats at the bottom are the worst positions in the entire restaurant, which are usually vacant and no elite is willing to sit there and are only used for temporary rest of ordinary staff and ordinary guests. On the day of the grand dinner, all the invited guests dressed in luxurious custom suits and high-end designer dresses gathered in the restaurant gorgeously, showing off their wealth and taste, eager to expand their social connections and gain elite recognition at the grand occasion. I still maintain my usual low-key style. I wore a simple white shirt and casual black pants, drove my ordinary civilian car, and came to the dinner scene alone. I did not contact any restaurant staff to arrange exclusive seats, nor did I show any identity privileges. I walked straight to my usual quiet remote corner seat at the bottom of the restaurant and sat down quietly, preparing to watch the dinner quietly and enjoy the casual dinner. Zhang Teng and a group of my former classmates were also invited to the dinner by virtue of his family's trivial catering resources. They dressed in expensive custom luxury clothes, wore famous watches and limited jewelry, and sat in the high-end peripheral fine seats not far from the center of the restaurant, looking extremely proud and superior. When Zhang Teng accidentally glanced at me sitting alone in the remote corner seat, a strong sense of superiority and ridicule instantly filled his heart. He immediately waved to all the classmates beside him, pointed at me in the distance, and laughed loudly, attracting the attention of all the people around him. "Everyone look! Isn't that Shenyi? Our great former classmate! Ha ha ha!" His loud laughter and deliberate shouting instantly attracted the eyes of all the surrounding elite guests and restaurant staff. Everyone turned their eyes to the remote corner where I was sitting, full of curiosity and confusion. Zhang Ting took the initiative to stand up from his fine seat, walked towards me with a group of arrogant classmates, stood condescendingly in front of my seat, and looked down at me with extreme disdain and superiority on his face. Xinyi, I really admire your thick skin. Today is the top elite charity dinner in the entire city. All the people present are wealthy elites and industry leaders. Everyone is sitting in high-end seats, enjoying top-level treatment. But you actually dare to sit in this garbage corner seat that no one wants. He pointed at the dim corner environment around me with a sarcastic sneer on his face and continued to humiliate me wantonly in front of the surrounding guests. Look at this broken seat. It's far away from the dinner stage. Can't hear the performance clearly, can't see the auction scene, and even the dishes are served the slowest. This is the worst seat in the entire restaurant. Only the most poor and incompetent people will sit here. We are all classmates who graduated from the same university. Look at us now. We can sit in high-end fine seats, communicate with social elites, and expand high-end connections. But you can only huddle in this shabby corner, like a transparent person who no one cares about. Do you have any shame? The group of classmates behind Zhang Ting also swarmed forward, echoing his ridicule unscrupulously, their words sharp and ruthless, completely trampling on my dignity in public. It's really embarrassing. How dare he come to the elite dinner with such poor conditions? He must have saved half a year's salary to buy this ordinary dinner ticket, right? No wonder. He can only choose the worst seat. People with no background and no wealth can only be at the bottom wherever they go. The gap between him and us is insurmountable. Zhang Xiao is so powerful. He can sit in the top fine seat and be respected by everyone, unlike Xinyi, who can only be a foil for others. The surrounding elite guests also looked at me with mocking and pity eyes, whispering and discussing privately. In their inherent cognition, the seat grade of the Michelin dinner completely represents a person's social status and wealth level. Sitting in the worst corner seat means that I am the bottom of the entire dinner scene, with no status, no connections, and no dignity. Faced with the endless public humiliation of the crowd, I sat quietly in my seat, my face calm and unwavering that I have long been used to their superficial snobbery and childish comparison. But Zhang Ting was not satisfied with verbal ridicule. In order to further show off his superiority and completely trample on my dignity, he actually put forward an extremely insulting request in front of everyone. Zhang Ting took out a stack of cash from his wallet, held it high in his hand, shook it in front of me, and ordered me in a domineering and insulting tone. "Xinyi, I know you are poor and have no money. Since you are so short of money, I will give you a chance to make money. Kneel down and apologize to me for your incompetence, and then stand beside me as a waiter to pour wine for all our classmates tonight. I will reward you with this stack of cash. It's enough for you to eat for a month." After speaking, he pointed to my corner seat again and laughed wildly. "Look at your pathetic appearance sitting in this garbage seat. You are not qualified to be an elite guest at all. You are only worthy of being a servant for us elites. This is your destined life." These extremely insulting words completely detonated the atmosphere of the scene. All the surrounding guests stared at me, waiting for my embarrassment and compromise, waiting to watch me kneel down to beg for mercy and become the biggest joke of the dinner. For a long time, I have tolerated their repeated ridicule, flattery, and snobbery. I have given them countless chances to repent, but they have always regarded my tolerance as weakness and my low profile as incompetence. They dare to humiliate me wantonly on the most grand top elite dinner occasion, completely ignoring the bottom line of human kindness and dignity. Since they are so obsessed with seat hierarchy and superficial class distinction, so arrogant and ignorant that they take trivial vanity as strength, I will completely crush their absurd cognition with absolute strength today. I will let them know that the seat they are proud of is just a trivial arrangement under my control, and the elite status they crave is not worth mentioning in front of my real identity. Hashtag explosive full reversal. The corner guest is the global catering tycoon. Facing Zhang Teng's insulting order and the mocking eyes of the entire audience, I slowly raised my head, my eyes cold and calm, without the slightest flinch or embarrassment. My clear and powerful voice spread steadily in the noisy dinner hall, suppressing all the surrounding discussions and laughter. You think this corner seat is the worst position in the restaurant? You think sitting in the so-called fine seats makes you an elite? You think you are qualified to let me kneel down and serve you? As soon as my words fell, Zhang Teng burst into arrogant laughter again, and the surrounding guests also showed more mocking expressions, thinking that I was talking big to save my embarrassing face. Haha, Shenyi, you are really ridiculous. You sit in the worst seat and are ridiculed by the whole audience, yet you still dare to talk nonsense. Do you know how high grade this Michelin restaurant is? Do you know how hard it is to book a fine seat? You, a poor guy who can only sit in the corner, are not qualified to comment on our elite seats. Just as Zhang Teng was laughing wildly, and the crowd was mocking unscrupulously, a burst of rapid and neat footsteps came from the exclusive VIP passage at the back of the restaurant. A group of top senior executives in high-end custom suits walked quickly towards the dinner hall in neat lines, with solemn and reverent expressions on their faces. The leading middle-aged man is Qin Hao, the general manager of Golden Bay Top Star Michelin restaurant and the top person in charge of all local branch businesses of Global Star Michelin Catering Group. He is usually aloof and prestigious, and even the city's top business tycoons need to take the initiative to greet him politely when they meet him. He rarely appears in public dinner scenes in person, let alone take the initiative to welcome ordinary guests. But at this moment, General Manager Qin, who is respected by countless elites, walked straight towards the remote corner where I was sitting at an extremely fast speed under the stunned gaze of all the guests present. In full view of everyone, General Manager Qin stopped in front of me, bent his waist 90 degrees deeply, bowed respectfully, and shouted in a solemn and trembling voice that resounded throughout the entire dinner hall. Welcome President Shen back to the restaurant for dinner. All staff and management of the restaurant are at your full disposal. We are extremely sorry for the rude disturbance and insult you have suffered tonight. Boom. The entire top elite dinner hall completely exploded in shocking uproar. All laughter, discussions, and noises stopped abruptly in an instant. Every elite guest, social celebrity, and restaurant staff present stared wide-eyed, their brains completely blank, falling into unprecedented extreme shock. The arrogant smile on Zhang Teng's face completely froze, his whole body stiffened in place, and his legs trembled violently. The stack of cash in his hand slipped and fell to the ground, scattered everywhere, but he had no time to care at all. His face turned from red to pale, then to bloodless white, and cold sweat instantly soaked through his entire custom luxury suit. The group of mocking classmates were all petrified on the spot, their heads buzzing blankly, and all the arrogant and superior expressions on their faces vanished without a trace, replaced by endless panic and fear. The surrounding elite guests who had just mocked and pitted me also widened their eyes, their faces full of incredible disbelief. They never dreamed that the ordinary young man sitting in the worst corner seat, who was ridiculed as poor and incompetent, was actually the supreme big boss of this top Michelin restaurant. General Manager Qin stood up straight, took out the global group's highest level identity certification and asset certificate with both hands, and publicly announced to all the stunned guests present in a loud and solemn tone. I solemnly announce to all guests present tonight, Mr. Shenyi is the sole founder, absolute controlling shareholder, and global supreme president of Global Star Michelin Catering Group. All 3 Michelin-starred luxury restaurants, high-end private dining clubs, and top elite dinner brands under our group worldwide are 100% privately owned by President Shen. All restaurant seat divisions, chef appointments, dinner qualifications, and elite membership privileges are all decided by President Shen alone. This top-level elite dinner scene, all luxury dining facilities, all top dishes and fine wines that everyone is enjoying tonight are all private assets of President Shen. The so-called fine seats and VIP seats that everyone scrambles for are just ordinary guest seats arranged randomly by our staff. These words were like a thunderclap exploding over everyone's heads, completely shattering all their superficial cognition and arrogant prejudice. Everyone finally woke up completely. The worst corner seat that they despised and ridiculed was the quiet seat that the group boss personally liked to sit in. The hierarchical seat division that they regarded as a class symbol was just a trivial layout arrangement in the eyes of the real boss. The proud Zhang Teng who showed off his fine seat was just a clown who was ignorant and arrogant. The elite status and vanity they pursued all their lives were just the most trivial dust under my feet. I sat calmly in the corner seat, my cold eyes slowly sweeping over the terrified Zhang Teng and the ashamed group of classmates, and my powerful voice resounded throughout the silent inner hall. You laugh at me for sitting in the corner seat and say I am poor and low class? You rely on a trivial fine seat to show off your superiority and insult my dignity. Let me tell you the truth, did I choose this corner seat just because I like quietness? All the seats in this restaurant, whether core VIP seats, central fine seats, or remote corner seats, are all my possessions. I can sit anywhere I want. No one can question or mock me. The seat you are proud of is just an ordinary seat I don't bother to sit in. The elite dinner qualifications you tried your best to obtain are just ordinary guest permissions I can grant at will. Your so-called wealth, status, and taste are not worth mentioning in front of my industrial territory. You judge others by seat grades and bully the low-key and humble with trivial vanity. You don't know that the more arrogant and superficial a person is, the more ridiculous and mediocre he is. Real strength never needs external seats and grades to prove. Every word was sonorous and powerful, hitting the hearts of everyone present hard, making all the previous ridicule and arrogance of Zhang Teng and the classmates extremely ridiculous and embarrassing. Hashtag thorough, zero mercy counterattack and desperate ending. After recovering from the extreme shock, Zhang Teng completely collapsed mentally. His legs went weak, and he knelt heavily on the smooth marble floor, his whole body trembling violently. He crawled forward in panic, his face pale and terrified, begging for mercy hoarsely with tears streaming down his face. President Shen, I'm wrong. I'm blind and ignorant. I don't know your supreme identity. I was arrogant and snobbish. I insulted you wantonly and offended you. Please forgive my stupidity. Don't punish me and my family's business. I beg you. He completely lost all his previous domineering and arrogant posture, humble and flustered, kowtowing repeatedly to beg for forgiveness. He knew clearly that with my absolute control over the global catering industry, ruining his family's trivial catering business was easier than crushing an ant. The group of classmates who had followed the crowd to mock me also stood stiffly in place, their heads lowered deeply, their faces burning with intense shame and endless panic. They were infinitely regretful for their foolish snobbery and blind ridicule, knowing that they had completely offended a top global catering tycoon. I looked at the begging crowd indifferently, without the slightest pity in my eyes. All their humiliation and ridicule were self-inflicted. I had been tolerant and low-key for a long time, but they repeatedly escalated their bullying and insulted my dignity in public, so they must bear the irreversible price of their ignorance and arrogance. I turned my eyes to General Manager Qin beside me and gave my cold and decisive order without any hesitation. First, permanently blacklist Zhang Teng and all his family members in all global branches of Global Star Michelin Catering Group. Prohibit them from entering all our Michelin restaurants, high-end private dining clubs, and top elite dinners worldwide for life, completely cutting off all their high-end catering and social resources. Second, completely block all business cooperation channels between Zhang Teng's family catering enterprise and all upstream and downstream catering suppliers, luxury ingredient suppliers, and industry platforms under my group. Issue a global industry risk warning, terminate all their resource cooperation qualifications, and completely bankrupt their family enterprise within 3 working days. Third, Permanently record all classmates who participated in mocking and insulting me tonight in the group's elite blacklist file. Reject all their dinner reservations, event participation, and industry cooperation applications for life, and completely deprive them of all opportunities to enter the top catering elite circle. Fourth, cancel all hierarchical seat division rules of all group restaurants, completely abolish the snobbish seat grade system, treat all dining guests equally, and thoroughly rectify the industry's bad atmosphere of judging people by seat grades. Execute all orders immediately. Yes, strictly implement all president's instructions. General Manager Chin bowed respectfully and responded loudly without the slightest delay. In an instant, Zhang Tong let out a desperate wail. His family's catering enterprise, which he had always been proud of, completely collapsed and went bankrupt overnight. All high-end social and dining resources were completely cut off. From a glamorous, rich second-generation elite, he fell into a complete loser with nothing, doomed to struggle at the bottom for a lifetime. All the mocking classmates lost their qualification to enter all top Michelin luxury restaurants and elite dinners for life. They completely missed the high-end social resources that could change their fate, ruining their future elite development path with their own snobbery and ignorance. All the elite guests present were deeply shocked and ashamed. They completely abandoned their superficial vanity and class prejudice and truly understood that real wealth and strength are hidden in low-key humility, and superficial grading and comparison are the most meaningless childish behaviors. I glanced indifferently at the group of desperate and regretful people on the ground, stood up calmly, and left the dinner hall under the respectful escort of all senior executives and countless elite guests. True nobility is never defined by seats, grades, and luxury appearances. Real top strength never needs to rely on external vanity to prove itself. I choose a remote corner seat not because I am mediocre and inferior, but because I disdain superficial vanity and pursue peace and simplicity. I keep a low profile not because I have no strength, but because I have long stood at the top of the global catering industry, overlooking all trivial class comparisons and snobbish prejudices in the world. Those who are trapped in material vanity judge others by superficial grades, and bully the low-key and humble will eventually be crushed by the real strength they can never touch and fall into the eternal abyss of regret they dug for themselves. Kindness has edges. Tolerance has bottom lines. Low-profile humility is my kindness, but never the capital for others to bully and insult me. Anyone who dares to trample on my dignity with superficial vanity will surely pay a heavy and irreversible price.